Hi, it's Katrina. From ancient cultures that worshipped lizard beings to fortresses abandoned in the desert, here are 10 ancient lost civilizations that scientists can't explain. Number 10. Ubaid culture. Although Sumeria has long been considered the earliest known civilization, it may have even been predated by the Ubaidian culture. Like the Sumerians and the Teotihuacanos in Mexico, their origins are unknown. They lived in ancient Mesopotamia and dated back to 5,500 to 4,000 BC. This early society is credited with building the first unwalled village settlements, as well as open courtyards, paved streets, and the first temples of public architecture in Mesopotamia. They had developed architectural and agricultural techniques with irrigation. In 1919, at the Tel Al-Ubaid archaeological site in modern-day Iraq, historian Harry Reginald Hall and his team discovered a series of pre-Sumerian male and female lizard-like figurines. Similar statues were also found in Ur and Eridu. They're depicted in various positions and look like they are wearing a helmet and shoulder padding. Some of the figurines were of female lizards with humanoid features nursing their reptilian babies. Archaeologists are unsure what these 7,000-year-old statues were used for, or what they are supposed to represent. It looks like perhaps the Ubaid people worshipped a reptilian god. These types of statues are found often in other areas of Mesopotamia, dating back to the same time. Serpents and lizards were symbolic in many ancient societies, so it is not so difficult to believe that these mysterious statues may have somehow played a part of ancient people's lives. We're just not sure what it was yet. Number 9. Lost Kingdom of Ancient Turkey. A farmer in southern Turkey made a fascinating discovery in 2019 when he stumbled upon a large, partially submerged stone or stele containing mysterious inscriptions in an irrigation canal. Several months later, the man notified local archaeologists who noticed that the stone's hieroglyphs are Luwian, an Indo-European language native to Turkey, and which was common in the area during the Bronze and Iron Ages. The stele told the story of an ancient civilization that may have defeated Phrygia, a kingdom ruled by King Midas during the late 8th century BC. Remember, King Midas is famous in mythology for turning whatever he touched into gold. Archaeologists said they had no idea about this kingdom. The stone's inscriptions indicate that its message came directly from the lost civilization's ruler, King Hartapu. The society was likely one of the largest settlements in ancient Turkey throughout its existence, which researchers believe lasted from the 9th to the 7th centuries BC and spanned a roughly 300-acre area at its peak. Archaeologists don't know the civilization's name, but are actively working to learn what they can about it by excavating its suspected capital at an archaeological site called Turkmen Karahoyuk. King Hartapu has been mentioned in at least one other inscription, but the details about who he was and his significance are vague. It's always exciting when we discover a lost kingdom, don't you think? Number 8. Pre-Columbian Puerto Rican society. During the 1800s, a Puerto Rican monk named José María Nazario announced his discovery of 800 carved stone statuettes at an undisclosed location. According to his narrative, a dying old woman had summoned him to her home and revealed the site of ancient treasure her family had been protecting for centuries. Naturally, Nazario's strange story was controversial, with many chalking it up to a tall tale or a forgery, while others admitted that the statuettes might be genuine, but their discoverer's account of finding them perhaps didn't add up. Nazario, who was a religious man, claimed that the statues were made by members of the 10 lost tribes of Israel, who he believed traveled to Puerto Rico by first crossing through Siberia. That's kind of far, right? Known as the Nazario Collection, the artifacts contain images of different shapes, some resembling humanoid figures, while other markings remain unidentified, with some seemingly representing an ancient, unknown writing system. To this day, the authenticity of the pieces remains in question. While radiocarbon dating originally dated the statuettes to sometime between 900 BC and 900 AD, and an analysis of their material showed that it was locally sourced, the language reflected in their carvings is a mystery. Researchers can do little else but speculate about the origins of the statuettes, with some experts theorizing that they were created by a lost civilization. Number 7. Anunnaki. The Anunnaki are a series of deities worshipped by the ancient Sumerians and later the Akkadians Assyrians, and Babylonians. These ancient civilizations, located mostly in Mesopotamia, are known as the cradle of civilization. The Sumerians are most famous for their contributions to humanity, including cuneiform writing, governance, architecture, and they are considered the creators of our civilization as we know it. Established around 4,500 years ago, they consisted of several city-states, including Ur and Uruk, with a population of up to 80,000 people. The famous Epic of Gilgamesh comes from the Sumerians. They worshipped the Anunnaki, who were the children of the sky god and the earth goddess. But now some people consider that the Anunnaki were not actually mythological, but a real group of people on Earth who posed as gods. Authors Michael Cremo and Eric von Daniken pointed toward the Anunnaki to support the far-flung theory that ancient astronauts visited Earth during prehistoric times. In Daniken's opinion, religious figures detailed in Sumerian texts and the Old Testament contain signs of an alien race making contact with ancient humans. Russian-American author Zecharia Sitchin claimed in his 1976 book, The 12th Planet, that the Anunnaki were an advanced humanoid alien race from Nibiru, a yet undiscovered planet, and that they visited Earth 500,000 years ago to mine gold. Sitchin also asserted that this extraterrestrial society intermingled with Homo erectus, a predecessor to modern humans, resulting in hybrid offspring. Some even go as far as to say the Anunnaki sky gods may have even created the human species to be a slave race to do their bidding, mostly to mine gold. The Anunnaki left Earth when the Antarctic glacier melted, resulting in the Great Flood, only to return and teach agriculture to humankind. Additionally, Sitchin credited the Anunnaki with building the Great Pyramids and various other monumental structures. This is the beginning of the ancient astronaut hypothesis, which says that alien beings have influenced human affairs. Proponents of this theory argue that the Anunnaki, or similar, brought advanced technology to humanity and explains all of the out-of-place artifacts that have been found by mainstream science that haven't yet been explained. Our knowledge of astronomy and mathematics is said to be given to us by the Anunnaki. Some even go as far as to say that they are still around, influencing politics and corporations like the Illuminati. Not surprisingly, historians, archaeologists, mathematicians, astronomers, and more discredit these claims, accusing these people of twisting ancient Sumerian writings to their favor by conveniently mistranslating words, shortening quotes, and quoting them out of context. Ancient Aliens on the History Channel has also helped to make this theory much more mainstream. While there is a lot we don't know yet about human evolution, scientists say that it's important to give these ancient societies credit for what they did, and that the Anunnaki are part of a mythological and spiritual pantheon, no more real than the Greek gods and goddesses that we might be more familiar with. What do you think? Were the Anunnaki any more than what historians say? A collection of deities worshipped by a handful of ancient civilizations? Or something else entirely? Let me know in the comments below, and be sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. We'd love to have you. Number 6. Khwarezm Shah Dynasty. In the dry desert of northern Uzbekistan, there are mysterious desert towers left behind by a lost civilization. The archaeological site of Ayaz Kala is home to 3 kalas, or mountain fortresses, which constitute some of the last known remnants of the Khwarezm Shah Dynasty, a lost civilization that existed from the 4th century BC until the 7th century AD. Khwarezm Shah flourished for roughly 1,000 years before it was ultimately abandoned. The 3 fortresses built at Ayaz Kala near the Amu Darya River and at the edge of the Kizilkum Desert represent the most remote and rugged of the civilization's structures, and each one is unique. There is no evidence of permanent dwellings at the site of Fortress Number 1, leading some experts to believe that it housed military members in temporary dwellings such as tents or reed huts. It sits above Ayaz Kala II, a feudal fortress dating back to the 6th to 8th centuries, and Ayaz Kala III, a fortified garrison from the 1st and 2nd centuries. Little is known about the mysterious civilization that built the fortresses, which were abandoned during the 7th century and possibly briefly inhabited again during the 13th century. 1,200 years passed by before they were rediscovered by Soviet archaeologists, and now they look like they are melting, battered by the winds and snow in winter and flooding and dry heat in the summer. Number 5. Unknown rock art creators. Northern Israel and the surrounding region are scattered with thousands of ancient tombs called dolmens. Erected between 4,000 and 5,000 years ago during the Intermediate Bronze Era, the structures represent a yet unidentified civilization who researchers have had little luck learning more about. Experts caught a lucky break when in 2018, a ranger working in the Yehudia Nature Reserve noticed cave carvings while going about her day. She contacted the Israeli Antiquities Authority, and archaeologists who reported to the site quickly identified the carvings as genuine rock art. The zoomorphic images depict 3 westward-facing horned animals and 3 eastward-facing ones, along with 2 that are facing each other, likely a male and a female. In 2012, researcher Gonan Sharon happened upon a field containing around 400 dolmens. While looking up at the domed roof of the largest monument, Sharon noticed unnatural, weird shapes, which turned out to be man-made carvings of tridents. Known as the Shamir carvings, the artwork revived archaeological interest in the area's dolmens, sparking increased discoveries in recent years. We know very little of the actual culture of the people who built them, Sharon told the news media, explaining that bits and pieces of ceramics, jewelry, spearheads, and other items have been found, but it's very rare to find artifacts, let alone anything major or telling of the dolmen's creators. The cave art discoveries have certainly furthered experts' knowledge, but they also pose new questions about the ancient culture, whose identity remains elusive. Why those animals, wondered IAA archaeologist Yuri Berger. Why in these dolmens but not others? What made this one special? Scientists are hoping to learn more about this mysterious culture. Number 4. Tel Moza. In July 2019, highway construction workers in Israel uncovered evidence of a city that existed in a sort of transitional state between hunter-gatherer culture and agricultural invention. The site, Tel Moza, sits northwest of ancient Jerusalem, and it calls into question previous understandings of when humankind first transitioned from a nomadic lifestyle to farming and permanent settlements, a time known as the Agricultural Revolution. Archaeologists from the IAA spent a year and a half excavating the site, which turned out to be a huge Stone Age settlement roughly 1/3 of a mile long. At its peak, it was likely a thriving metropolis containing homes with plastered floors and walls, alleyways, an Israelite temple, and more. Figurines of human men were found at Tel Moza, but their significance remains unknown. The evidence suggests that humans may have lived in the area as far back as 20,000 years ago, but for now, the settlement is considered around 9,000 years old, dating back to the pre-pottery Neolithic period. Findings show that humans occupied Tel Moza as early as the 8th or 7th century BC, and that people were intermittently present at the site up until the 20th century. Based on an abundance of artifacts dating back to the 10th to 6th centuries BC, during the Iron Age, archaeologists have confirmed Tel Moza as the biblical site of Moza, which was first mentioned in the book of Joshua. As much as experts know about Tel Moza, the people who inhabited the city remain somewhat of a mystery. What they left behind offers an extremely rare glimpse into the religious practices and rituals of the time, but the details of their everyday lives and customs are less clear. Number 3. Çatalhöyük. Located in what is now southern Anatolia, Turkey, the Neolithic settlement at Çatalhöyük existed from around 7,100 BC to 5,700 BC. Composed of prehistoric mound settlements, the proto-city reached its peak around 7,000 BC and was ultimately abandoned before the Bronze Age. A team led by archaeologist James Mellart excavated Çatalhöyük starting in 1958 and learned that the people who lived there were part of an advanced culture and that their city represented its center. The settlement was long-lasting, as evidenced by the 18 layers of buildings that were found there. Most of the structures appear to be domestic in nature, with no outwardly identifiable public facilities being present at the site, although the purposes of some of the rooms and buildings are unknown. People lived in mud brick houses that were combined in a honeycomb-like maze to form a single structure. The building was equipped with ladders, stairs, and holes, which made the dwellings accessible. Residents kept their homes immaculately clean, leaving behind little debris. The settlement is dotted with murals, figurines, and human burials, but a temple is conspicuously lacking. Based on its architecture, it's believed that the average population at Çatalhöyük numbered between 5,000 and 7,000 residents, and at its peak, as many as 10,000 people lived there. Researchers also think that the population fluctuated over time. But they only know so much about the people who lived there based primarily on the clues that the site offers. For one, the society appears to have been egalitarian in nature, meaning that most people were equal, very rare during this time period, and it lacked a clear distinction between social strata. Plus, all clues point toward the society's religion being based on a hunter-gatherer lifestyle. But that's about all experts know thus far, and given the age of Catalhuyuk's ruins, it's very hard to learn more. Number 2. Guanche natives. In February of this year, amateur archaeologists discovered the remains of mummies on the island of Gran Canaria, part of Spain's Canary Islands. Using a drone, they were able to locate 62 adults and 10 newborns in the Guayadeque ravine, a difficult-to-access spot situated roughly 75 feet down a series of cliffs. Concerned the site was at risk of being vandalized, the discoverers informed archaeologists, who confirmed the discovery, estimating that the cave the remains were found in dates back to sometime between the 8th and 10th centuries. The mummies belonged to members of the Guanche people, an Aboriginal group that inhabited the Canary Islands. Burial shrouds made from animal skins and vegetable fibers were also found at the site. The Guanches, who likely migrated to the archipelago around 1000 BC, were ethnically and culturally absorbed by Spanish settlers who arrived between 1402 and 1496. While there are around 1,200 known archaeological sites on Gran Canaria, this one is unique, particularly due to the presence of such young remains. Aside from this, the discovery confirms that all the indigenous people that once inhabited the island were buried in the same manner. But where did the Guanche people, the original inhabitants of the Canary Islands, come from? DNA evidence recently proved that they migrated there from North America, and evidence suggests that they lived a hunter-gatherer lifestyle characteristic of the Stone Age. But by and large, the Guanche are more mysterious than anything to modern researchers, who believe that they lived in caves and huts and made do with very few tools. They likely possess knowledge of basic pottery and farming, and it's suspected that they built numerous pyramids found throughout Tenerife, although this has not yet been proven. Number 1. Extraterrestrial visitors? The ancient astronaut theory suggests that extraterrestrials visited the prehistoric world and helped early humans learn advanced engineering, architectural, and agricultural skills. This belief comes in various forms. Like I mentioned before, Swiss author Erich von Däniken championed this theory throughout the 1960s and 70s with his best-selling book, Chariots of the Gods, and numerous sequels. He claimed that numerous archaeological sites and artifacts, including Stonehenge, Pumapunku, the Moai monoliths of Easter Island, the Great Pyramid of Giza, and the Baghdad Battery were all made with more sophisticated technology than what was available at the time, indicating that they were created by aliens from outer space. Maybe not the Anunnaki, but some form of civilization that was very advanced and that science just can't explain. Von Däniken believed that certain ancient art depicted air and spacecrafts, intelligent non-human beings, ancient astronauts, and abnormally advanced technology. While he is not considered an archaeological expert by the academic community, in his opinion, he asserted that geographically separated societies shared common themes in their artwork, pointing towards shared extraterrestrial origins. Von Däniken's claims don't stand up to experts who accuse him of misrepresenting data, making unfounded claims, and making unproven claims. They also believe that he influences the beliefs of his followers, who know nothing about how to look at artifacts and take whatever he says at face value because it's more fun than the truth. His books are more science fiction and entertaining than anything else. I mean, you have to admit that the idea of aliens coming and helping the ancient Egyptians build pyramids is pretty fun.